Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're doing well today and whenever and wherever you are on the planet. I hope that you make an effort to smile. Just smile. The most important thing you can wear to any date or interview or just in general, even if you're sitting in your living room by yourself, is just a smile. A lot of people have contacted me recently and they've been feeling down in the dumps, just straight up depressed, anxiety ridden. Some people have been on the verge of possibly suicidal. Some people have started to have angry rages. It seems like there's a lot of brain breakdowns going on. So, it's not an Ascension symptom because we've already anchored into the fifth dimension, but I do think that there is an adjustment period, an adjustment phase. So I hope that wherever you are, whenever you hear this, just even if you feel bad, give yourself 5 minutes of smile therapy, because when you smile, it sends positive message to your brain and it can change your mood, even if you did not feel like smiling before you started. So if you give yourself 5 minutes a day to just, even if it's not a real, genuine emotional based smile, it's actually going to help you. I know a lot of people are still like, oh, well, we're in the fifth dimension. Why is there this going on and that going on and all the wars and all the fires and blah, blah, blah. But it's like an adjustment phase. It's something that, things can't change 100% overnight. You know that. A lot of people did not manage their expectations. A lot of people thought that everything's going to fully break down. The machines are going to disappear. Anything man-made was going to disappear. And we'd be like living on rainbows. We won't need to eat anymore, There was a lot of crazy stuff like 2 or 3 years ago, especially on YouTube. A lot of people were speculating about what they thought would happen. And even Drunvalo Melchizedek talked about how literally all the machines are going to disappear from the planet. And it's like, well, we're anchored in, according to my higher guidance and several beings that I've channeled from various places, Brother Yeshua and I think Mother Mary. I had a conversation with her, and Prime Creator himself, the Andromedan 5, Michael Sherahan. Everyone's saying, we're here. We're already here. So I don't know why Drunvalo Melchizedek, he was saying that when the magnetosphere shifts, when we have a pole shift and we switch up into the fifth dimension, all this crazy stuff is going to happen. I don't know if you guys ever heard that on YouTube. People put that out there, but it's in his books, and it's like, what? Where do you even get that? Because of magnetism, all the metal's going to disappear. People's cars are just going to melt and then disappear, and we're not going to have a memory of it. Some of the stuff he got right, though. He did say that we're going to have problems with foggy memory, or we might not have a memory of something. And that is true. That's been a symptom, especially when the Schumann resonance is going off the charts and The magnetosphere is cracked, and we're receiving tons of cosmic radiation from the sun. And I haven't actually looked at that lately to see what's happening with the sun. But I tell you, I did see a lot of pink energy in the sky today, and it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. In fact, my son is learning how to use his higher psychic vision, and he saw some turquoise energy in the sky, and I saw some purple, but it wasn't the icky Eeyore purpley that's going to bring the negative energy up and out so that we could address it. It was more of a bright, cheerful kind of purple. It was a brighter purple. And I felt that it was a very positive energy. So if it clashes with something that's deep inside you still that you haven't released or let go of yet, it's probably going to be irritating, and it might spark you, you know. I got an amazing email today from somebody who, Vanessa from Australia, and she said she listened to my show, the very first episode, and she heard me talk about the two J's in the clouds. Then she heard me mention about the narcissist, and she thought, I thought this was going to be an enlightened show, and she turned it off, and she didn't hear the rest of the story in regards to the narcissist and how I was able to overcome all of my PTSD on that day, and I was able to actually be 100% okay with him trying to harass me again. And I mean, he's cost me a lot of money and a lot of heartache, but I'm over the emotional part of it. And she probably didn't hear me say that part, but anyway, she said that she was driving, though. Not, after that, she was driving, and as she's driving, a car just randomly pulled in front of her, and on the license plate was JJ, just like I'd said about the cloud. And the universe was trying to tell her, come back, listen to the show. This one's for you, baby. And I thought that's so cool. It's like, oh my gosh, the universe is conspiring on all of our behalves. I feel like we're all soul tribe and we're all soul family. And, a lot of things that I talk about, some things are pretty hard to talk about or hard to listen to sometimes. But we have to look at the shadowy side of life and ourselves. We don't have to dwell on it over and over and over again. We don't have to ruminate on it and think about it until we feel so depressed we're just going to never get out of bed again or never eat again, But it's important to look at what's going on, at least for a couple minutes a week. I don't mean every single day, and don't look at the news. But it's interesting to look at it and understand how people are starting the revolutions because they are standing up for themselves. They're not taking it anymore. They're not just going to go, well, okay, whatever. Okay, we'll just accept that from the government, So there's been a lot of changes. In fact, one other country, Bolivia, is having a revolution right now. They're having democracy issues. They had their vote. It was supposed to be a first, kind of like a preliminary vote, and the president that they don't really like took it in one fell swoop. And this is just supposed to see who's most popular, And usually in all of their elections in the past, it's been, well, people kind of like that guy more, but we have another election coming up. It's never like a landslide. And this guy wasn't all that popular, so they're like, what just happened? We think that our democracy was hijacked, So they're demonstrating, and, there's protests in the street. I don't know if it's gotten violent, but it's really crazy to watch how this has just been, Venezuela and Colombia have been having problems for the last couple years. Peru has always had its share of issues, but then suddenly Peru, then Ecuador, now Bolivia, which is on the other side of Peru. It's south of Peru. So, and in Brazil is the fires. It's just really interesting to watch. I don't know what's going on in Chile and Argentina right now. Hopefully nothing. Hopefully they're good. They're good to go. And I don't know about Paraguay, Uruguay, but it's interesting to watch, it's, if you could look at it from a point of being an observer without labeling it as good or labeling it as bad, and you just watch it, and, all of this stuff is designed by a higher architect. And I'm not talking about the International Monetary Fund or something like that. I mean, there's a grand design to all of it, and it's meant to wake us up. Those of us that are already awake, we can wake up a little more. We can lift our vibration more, and we can look at the people that are still asleep, and we can send them love and light. We can wish them well. We could silently say, I love you, when we see a footage or, like a clip on the news or on YouTube or whatever. We could say, they're a human being and they're equal to me. We're all in this together, and we can make it a habit of just loving every person we see. Like even, when I have this guy harassing me, I still love him as a human being, impersonally, of course. I don't have romantic partner type feelings for him, but, he even before he blew it with me, and cost me all this money, he was so pushy in that narcissistic way, thinking, why wouldn't I want to be with him? He's the greatest man alive, right? But that's the kind of thing that, if you're not an empath, you don't tend to attract narcissists. You might come across, one or two in your life, or you might know one at work or something, but it's not a massive issue. And if you're an empath and you're not aware of it, you're just going to attract that over and over and over again. So that's why I have to bring it up, because people that are light workers tend to be empathic. And when you're empathic and you start to feel the emotions of other people, and then you make excuses for the people that aren't as good, well, they need more love because they're meaner. If I could just love that meanness away, and you know what? You could love them all you want. They're never going to love you back, because that's what a narcissist is incapable of. And it's really sad. And I don't make excuses for my more recent ex, who I still love, and we still talk every now and again, but I don't know if he's autistic, because he does, a lot of times he'll act like he's got some autism going on. And so I wonder about that. But at the same time, you know what? He did kind of show me that maybe he is a narcissist. He did the gaslighting thing and, and all that stuff. And it's super important to know. If you're just tuning in now, because I have a lot more brand new listeners. If you're just tuning in now and you've had some really odd breakups where you're like, what the hell? It's comes out of nowhere, or if you have someone who cheated on you multiple times, that's usually a narcissist. They've got a lot of weird tricks up their sleeve, and you have to understand what it is, and you have to understand the patterns of it. Once you understand the patterns of it, then you can go, oh, and you can nip it in the bud, like on the first date. Next time you try to go out with someone, you're like, oh, yeah, all right, there you go. One of my friends who's living here from Chicago, we talk every now and again, and long time ago we were thinking about dating, and it just never came to pass. But I was like, hey, I'm from Detroit, you're from Chicago. I'm originally from California, but I lived in Detroit for a couple years. I'm like, hey, man, we're practically neighbors, right? So we always thought we would have stuff in common. And within the first 20, 30 minutes of meeting him in person, he said something like, what happened? You know, when was your last relationship? Why did it break up? I'm like, oh, he was a narcissist, you know, and I still love him, and he's doing the very best he can as a human being, but I can't be with someone like that. It's just not conducive to my spiritual growth, or maybe it was actually, but it's not conducive to my continued happiness. So that's why, you know, I still have a great deal of fondness for the guy, but you know, he's limited in a way that I need a man not to be limited in. And this guy says to me, oh, well, I'm a narcissist. I freely admit it. I'm way too into myself. I'm like, oh, okay. Boom. Now I know. They will play their hand immediately if you just know what to listen for. And that's like the most obvious telltale sign. You know, someone says that and then they laugh. They're not really kidding. Because someone who's not a narcissist will go out of their way to prove they're not. You know, or they'll be like, oh goodness, I'm sorry. You know, yeah, no, I've dropped my ego and I do this and I do that. You know what I mean? Like normal people, not normal. I'm not saying that narcissists aren't normal, but they're not. They don't relate to us the way that, you know, the way that other people do. So it is what it is, you know, but I thought that was funny that, you know, she's like, okay, yeah, finally I found something great, and only listened to that episode and then got the message JJ right in front of her. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, because, you know, maybe the narcissistic talk wasn't for her because she's not going through that. But you know what? Somebody out there is. I know a couple of you have contacted me and you're saying, yeah, I mean, some of you are going through lawsuits. Some of you have had to file restraining orders. Some of you have had to move across the country or to another country. I mean, it can get pretty serious and pretty real with a narcissist. I mean, it can turn extremely violent and it can turn deadly. You know, you guys have heard me talk from time to time about the neighbors who are fighting. A lot of times they're on the background, screaming and yelling, and we've called the police on them quite often. And the man stabbed the woman recently, and the ambulance came and hauled her off to the hospital, and she was gone for about 5 days. I think she's back with him now, but she's also a narcissist. It's really strange, you know, but she uses that abusive relationship to get her hooks into other people. So it serves her purpose as a narcissist, get her supply of emotional sympathy from others. And she's already gone through everyone in the building. Everyone felt sorry for her at one point or another. Now we all just go, you know what? We're not going to deal with you anymore. If he's not a good man, leave him. Everyone in the building has told her. Everyone in the building has called the police on them when they fight. And no one's doing anything. There's nothing that can be done, except that was like one of the worst things that could happen. But you can't ever tell a narcissist what to do to improve their life. They'll never listen to you. So all I can do is just, I send the kid that lives there love and light. The girls are gone. Now it's only the little boy, but I think they went back to live with their grandma, which is good. You know, it's good for them. But I'm just like, I stay out of it totally. I just, you know, I observe stuff from time to time, and always sending them love and light, just hoping they can wake up. Quit hitting the snooze button, man. Wake up. You know, because they're every bit as much God's children as everyone else. They're just not awake. They're just sleeping. It's very sad, you know. But hey, everyone has things that they do in every lifetime. We all have lifetimes in which we weren't quote unquote good, or we weren't, you know, 100% coherent, or, you know, most of our lifetimes we've been asleep. This is the first time, and it's unprecedented in human history, in which we have been on a global scale waking up in droves daily. This is the first time that's ever happened. You know, like a few hundred years ago, I couldn't have been talking about witchcraft freely, or metaphysics freely, or hopping timelines like I do freely. I couldn't talk about making my coffee a little warmer with the power of my mind like I do, because I've mentioned that, how I do that a couple episodes. I've mentioned that. You know, just a couple hundred years ago, I would have been persecuted heavily for that. Yes, so many people are waking up, and that's why I'm really honest about who I am, what I do. You know, I just because someone has an enlightened mind doesn't mean that all the people around them are perfect or that they're perfect, right? You know, I'm not at the level of Yeshua when he was, you know, the Christ on the planet. I'm still working on myself. I mean, if I was there, baby, I'd be zapping up red licorice left and right. Oh my God, I love red licorice. I haven't had any in over a year now. I did have someone meal some for me, for me and my son. We got a big bag of Twizzlers and a big bag of red rope licorice, and we were like, oh, man, we had like one piece of each per day and then put the rest in the closet and don't look at it till tomorrow. It was just, I mean, rationing it out. I mean, we ate that for like a month or two. It was like all dried out and old by the time we got to the end. You know, but I know I'd be like doing that, but I would probably, you know, honestly, it'd be pretty cool, like just have a bag, an empty bag, if you have that ability, and you go and you walk up and down the streets and people are homeless and they don't have food, and they ask for a handout. You just reach in your bag and say, you know, do you like bread? Here, hand them a loaf of bread, hand them a sandwich, a roast beef sandwich or something. Oh, here, you guys want salad? Here, boom, here's a salad. It would be so awesome to have that ability. That would be like the most amazing gift ever. But I'd also like to levitate. Not only would it make my back feel better, it would be super fun floating around, you know. I have a feeling that once we all get all of these gifts, all of these human superpowers, by the time we achieve that level where we have those superpowers, we're not really going to care about the powers anymore. That's what makes it kind of funny. I love the irony, the grand cosmic joke that is the universe. It's so ironic, you know. Do you think that Jesus was handing out the loaves and fishes going, oh my God, this is so cool, I could do this, right? Probably not, because he already knew he could do it, so it was just bah. Like it was beyond his ego. So I know while I'm still going, ooh, I'm going to zap up licorice, you know, but I know I will for sure. I didn't ask my higher guidance, if I get the ability and I zap up licorice, are you going to take away my ability? And the answer was no. Like, okay, because I really miss having licorice once in a while. But that'd be fun to zap up a piece of licorice and hand it to crying children, you know, and you pass them on the street. Oh, here, look at this, have a piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. But if you could zap it up and it's extra healthy, that would be so cool, right? Maybe I should just make it in my kitchen. That would be more effective. You know, like Harry Mancharian? He said, you know, why walk on water when you can take the boat? Takes a lot less energy out of you for sure. But someday maybe we'll all be walking on water and floating through the air and creating whatever. I'd like for our hands to be our replicators. That'd be so awesome, right? Just, oh, what'd you want for dinner? Okay, go ahead and zap that up with your hands. I'm going to have roast beef. What are you having, fish? All right. That'd be awesome. Everyone just zaps up their own dinner like their hands are their replicator. And I think about this stuff a lot, maybe too much, but the human superpowers, I still want to be able to light candles with my mind. You know, I'm hoping that the information comes to me soon. I found a book that has how to do all this stuff, but then the reviews said that it wasn't really effective, but I don't know. I might buy the book and refund my money if it's not good, but I don't know. My higher guidance said don't get the book, so I'm like, I probably won't. But he also said, it's coming, so don't worry, you're going to have the knowledge soon. Yay! I'm like so hungry for the knowledge, but more often than not, I just bask in the light of the energy that's around me, like the orange and the pinky skies. When that happens, if I feel a resonance with it, I'll just pull it into my heart chakra and put it down through my feet and up through my head and throughout my aura. And then I always try to connect to my 12 chakras that are all active right now, and make sure that everything is connected. Kundalini and the aura is cleansed, and all 12 chakras are cleansed, and I have my spirit beings are always with me every single day, and it's pretty cool. I feel the protection and the love from them, and then I get spirits visiting me day and night all the time anyway, and wanting to discuss things. There's one spirit it's been oddly quiet today, was the duende. He didn't come back today. I don't know if we have to recharge him already, or if he was just kind of busy with my son's room. I think he hangs out different parts of the house. I think he was just out there today. He might have been spooked by the pigeons, though. The pigeons were very quiet, but they were just observing us like we're their zoo today. They were hanging out in front of the window, Fred and Ethel Mertz. They're just staring in at us, just kind of peering in. I'm all, hey guys, and they're just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like usually they'll open their mouths a lot because they are asking for food, and today they didn't do that. They were just kind of hiding out from the rain. They're so cute, though. They've already had, since we've lived here, they've already had 2 kids, and both kids flew the coop, and they left. But when the second one was born, the first one came and flew over and wanted to see the baby brother or sister. I couldn't tell, but it was kind of adorable. The whole 4 of them hanging out like that. And the oldest one is still aggressive, but not like he was when he was younger. So he's not an angsty teenager anymore. I guess pigeons, they grow up so fast. So much faster than our people. All right. God bless all the pigeon people. All the animal people. All right. On disclosurenews.it, we have only the evening report. It says the sort of vibration that we noticed yesterday is perceived to have continued until morning of today. Unfortunately, it reached its maximum during the arc, in which the data was not recorded. Again with that. The peak is shown at 10 hertz during the descent of the amplitude towards normal values starting at 4 UTC time. So that was it. They're calling it power 10. That's hilarious. They call it 10 hertz in the description, but then power 10 on the little icon. I don't mind the power. Oh no. Oh no. And then heartmath.org. Sorry, this data is temporarily unavailable. Again with that. I've had no problems with my electronics today. I think my phone battery did run out really quick during part of today. Quicker than normal, but I don't think it was. I was actually kind of using it a lot, so maybe it was normal for the activity. I had a lot of friends that were very chatty today. People that normally will just go, hey, how you doing? Me too. Cool. Have a good day. You too. Bye. Right? People are normally like that are just like wanting to talk for like an hour, 3 hours. So I had several people. I was like juggling between 2 or 3 different apps today. And a couple of my friends were in emotional crisis. And so I was praying for them and trying to figure it out. All right. Lesson 135 in A Course in Miracles today. And again, I do read these so that we can raise our vibration. And once we have this knowledge, it's like, oh, all right. But I'm not going to read the whole lesson. And if you are inspired by today's lesson, please go to acim.org, or you can just download one of the A Course in Miracles apps. acim.org is the authorized publisher of Foundation for Inner Peace, is the authorized publisher of A Course in Miracles. It's pretty good. It's everyone has to know this stuff eventually. So this helps us all become enlightened when I read these, including myself, because before this, I'd only gotten up to like lesson 98 on my own. So I'm learning these as we go along now. So we all learn together. So yay, we're all in the same boat. We have all ascended together. And I'm so glad you guys are on the journey with me. It's awesome. All right. Lesson 135 is, if I defend my oh my God, I can't even say words. If I defend myself, I am attacked. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Who would defend himself unless he thought he were attacked? That the attack were real and that his own defense could save himself. And herein lies the folly of defense. It gives illusions full reality and then attempts to handle them as real. It adds illusions to illusions, thus making correction doubly difficult. And it is this you do when you attempt to plan the future, activate the past, or organize the present as you wish. Yeah, I don't know. Really? Okay, let's go on and read more just so we get that. You operate from the belief that you must protect yourself from what is happening because it must contain what threatens you. A sense of threat is an acknowledgement of an inherent weakness. A belief that there is danger which has power to call on you to make appropriate defense. The world is based on this insane belief. I don't know, Yeshua, it was pretty real when those guys were outside with guns a couple weeks ago during the riots. I mean, we weren't personally attacked, and I felt scared, but I knew that I wasn't personally attacked, though. But I knew that I might be if I go outside, so I just stayed low. Keep it on the DL. I don't know. This is very interesting. All right, this is a pretty long one. Defense is frightening. It stems from fear, increasing fear as each defense is made. You think it offers safety, yet it speaks of fear made real and terror justified. Is it not strange you do not pause to ask as you elaborate your plans and make your armor thicker and your locks more tight? What you defend and how and against what? This is a very interesting one. All right. I'm looking. Oh my God, this is a very, very long one. I'm going to have to read this one when I'm done recording the show. My God, this one goes on forever. Okay, this is 26 paragraphs long. If I defend myself, I am attacked. But in defenselessness, I will be strong. And I will learn what my defenses hide. That is interesting. Your defenses hide something. Here's another one. This is my Easter time, and I would keep it holy. I will not defend myself because the Son of God needs no defense against the truth of his reality. Interesting. Maybe he means emotional defensiveness, but he did say earlier that the body does not need defense. So, why did I spend all those years in karate? Very weird. I've got to look through this one. This is good, though. It's good information, right? Because maybe that's just one extra layer of our onion, that we need to unravel, If you come from a place where you don't need to be attacked, maybe you won't be. But I mean, Gandhi came from a place of not being attacked, and in the end, someone shot him in the stomach and killed him. You know? Imam Ali was murdered while he prayed. Someone slammed a poisonous blade, like a sword, into the back of his neck, and he fell to the ground, and the person took off running, and they didn't actually kill him then, and he laid in bed for the next 5 days as poison coursed through his body, and he just held people's hands and hugged them and loved them and gave them advice and basically channeled God, I think, allowed God to work through him until he died. It took him like 5 days to die, though, something like that. A lot of holy people end up being attacked, even though they don't perceive themselves as being attacked or whatever, but I don't know. I'm going to have to read through this one. I'm going to question this one, but I know that it's right. I know that it's right. I don't know. I'm looking through this, like, is there anything else, like, the body is in need of no defense. This cannot be too often emphasized. It will be strong and healthy if the mind does not abuse it by assigning it to roles it cannot fill, to purposes beyond its scope, and to exalted aims which it cannot accomplish. Such attempts, ridiculous yet deeply cherished, are the sources for the many mad attacks you make upon it. For it seems to fail your hopes, your needs, your values, and your dreams. I do agree with the idea that we need to stop protecting the parts of us that we're not comfortable with and hiding and keeping up appearances. Because the more honest and real we are with other people, the more honest and real we allow them to become. People open up around that kind of honesty. If you try to keep up an appearance that say you're in a relationship and you don't want anyone to know that you've ever had a fight ever, that is super unrealistic, because most couples will have arguments or fights. Some couples have some big doozies, but it's sometimes what happens. Most people are not taught in grade school how to communicate clearly. Oh my God, that is hilarious. I just choked on the word communicate. That is so funny. My throat started to get kind of swollen there because I've been sick. So that's hilarious though. I like that divine timing of things. But anyway, when you're in grade school, you're not taught how to communicate clearly, how to have integrity, how to have self-respect, and how to respect others. You are a little bit, don't touch Billy's lunch, right? When you're in kindergarten, keep your hands to yourself. We are taught some of it a little bit. Integrity, don't tell lies, we are taught that. But as far as having emotional intelligence and communication skills and respecting people for being people, and not treating that group over there like girls because they're girls, and that group over there, we don't treat them like boys because they're boys. And this girl says she's a boy, and so we treat her weird, like that's how it was in grade school for me. It really bothered me. There was a transgender boy who was a twin, and the twin was very girly, and they were both born girls. And the twin was very girly, but the one that I knew always dressed like a guy. Had his hair tucked up in his hat, and and it was really, I wanted to be his friend, and he was so scared of ridicule from me because he had already gotten it from so many other people that he kept to himself and he couldn't wait to move, from the town. And I'm sure when he grew up, he just left. He's probably living in San Francisco, living his best life in the Bay, which is one of the coolest places in the world. Or maybe Australia. Actually, Australia has some amazing communities where people just be themselves. It's really awesome. I think I want to say in Melbourne, maybe. I was looking for the gay pride list of around the world of all the parades, and I just was interested because sometimes they're at different times of the year, not always in June. Pride Month is usually in June in the U.S., but some of them are like in July, some of them are in May, a little bit early. So I was like blown away. I was looking at pictures from around the world one year of Pride all over the world. It made me feel happy, like, okay, good. So there are at least pockets of acceptance around the world for all people, I like it when anytime there is acceptance for people. And that's something that came up in, I think it was Phil Good, and I do highly recommend Phil Good's channel. He doesn't know me. I've left comments on his stuff once in a while saying, hey, check out my podcast, and he never really gets back to me. He's got like thousands of comments every day though. But he said that you have to accept everything. Maybe it might have even been Aaron Doherty. Someone was saying that you don't have to like where you're at, but you have to accept it so that you can be ready for the next step. Because in acceptance, well, he didn't say this, but I recognized it as he was saying it, that it lowers your defenses and you don't need to defend yourself. And it lowers your resistance to change. Because if you're constantly angry about where you're living, or I don't like it, it kind of puts up a wall. It's a wall. It's a defense. It's a, But the minute you accept that you're here now, like I've talked several times about how I want to buy a house, and I'm hoping I can make enough money to buy a house with a swimming pool. Thank you, because that's how I want to get in shape. And since I broke my leg, I've got to, years ago, I still have the pain of that. My ankle gets swollen when I do any kind of exercise, and it's just super painful. But when I swim, okay, I don't swim very well, but when I do underwater aerobics, it takes the pressure off my joints and I feel great. So I've asked God, please, if that's okay, I've been doing your work for years, and if you think I deserve it, please bring me the house. And I visualize myself being in the house, and I accept that the house will be mine. But I don't look around my apartment where I'm at and go, ooh, I hate this place, because I don't. There's some things I wish the kitchen wasn't orange. Some things I get a little irritated by. I wish I wasn't having to hear the abuse going on. But when I hear it, I realize it's in my awareness so that I can heal it. I can ask for healing of it. Maybe eventually it will work. But I don't hate where I'm at. If I have to live here in this apartment 6 more years, okay, fine. I've been here 18 months, Now, the one thing I don't like is this bed. But you know what? I do accept it. So, but when you say, I accept it, if there's something that you don't like right now, just accept it. And when you accept it, just go, I accept that. All right, hurt my ankle and I can't walk very well. I accept that. I was sick for 5 days. I accept that. And you know what? I got healthier and I wasn't upset about it. I didn't have an emotion one way or the other. And that's what I've been going through ever since about a week or two before we anchored in, I started having a lack of emotion towards things that maybe 6 years ago I would have had a strong emotion towards. So I think it's a spiritual maturity thing going on. So yay! All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick break. And when I do come back, complete the thought. All right, complete the thought, Elena. When I do come back, I am going to channel the Arcturians or Arcturians. Everybody has a different way of saying their name. All right, am I connected to you guys? All right, the Arcturians are a group of beings that live in the 9th dimension. They're very high vibration. People who have been able to see them in their mind's eye see them as being blue, and their heads are shaped kind of like what you'd see as a gray alien, but they're not related to all of the different races that are various shades of gray, and some of them are tan. But the Arcturians have blue skin, and they wear a crystal in their front of their third eye to help them always focus on the light of God within. They're very spiritual beings. They are very peaceful in nature, and they're very, very intelligent when it comes to spiritual matters. And they've been guiding humanity through various channels all over the planet. And no two messages from them are alike, which is pretty cool. They might say some similar things in the beginning and the end, but when it comes to the actual message, they put out a different message every time, so that you can go to Daniel Scranton, who is amazing, and he channels them. He puts out a newsletter. If you don't like him in the beginning, he channels them directly where they inhabit his body. He is a direct channel, and so in the beginning of his video, he's just making a series of clicks and noises, and it's like a pretty long process, and it's kind of annoying to hear it for some people. It gets a little grating. I like listening to him, but I tend to forward through that part sometimes, especially when my son's home. He's like, oh my God, Mom, do we have to hear that again? But it's easier to get his messages through his newsletter, and I highly recommend him. He's excellent. Just get an email, and it's like every couple days when the Arcturians come through him, he'll just channel a little message and put it in the email, and so it's pretty neat. But a lot of people have started channeling them, just like Michael Shearhan has come to as many people as possible. He telepaths with as many people as possible, and it's pretty cool. I don't think does direct channeling since he's still alive, but I don't know, the Arcturians are still alive, so maybe you can do that. And I have projected my consciousness elsewhere, so I think possibly I've projected my consciousness into the body of animals to find out where in their body they're hurting and why are they acting the way they're acting. I've done that many times with various animals. So maybe you can do that. I'm sure they can. They're higher beings than us. So I'm like working it out as we go through. Anyway, I'm going to channel the Arcturians tonight, and I am an indirect channel. So I'm just going to telepath with them. And so I use muscle testing in a series of, I have a lot of things I go through when I'm channeling them. And sometimes Arcturians will give you downloads, upgrades, DNA activations through me while I'm saying their words. They will also be incorporating in the sound of my voice. So you could listen to it and then come back to it a month later and listen to it again, and you might be activated all over again. Or they might activate you in a different way that second time or third or fourth time. Sometimes that's what happens with them. Sometimes I'll go back and listen to it. I'm like, gosh, I don't remember saying any of that, because I go into a trance. I don't remember it. But I don't allow anyone to inhabit my body. So I'm Virgo. It bugs me. So I just do the telepathy, and then I use muscle testing. So if something doesn't sound right and it feels like it's coming from my subconscious mind, sometimes they'll pluck out words out of my mind or something I've been thinking, something I've said on the show in the last few days, and it will be to reiterate a point, but also to use my own language with me, and so you guys already related to that phrase. They'll go ahead and pluck it out of my subconscious mind. Usually at those times, I'm not only channeling, I'm also doing muscle testing to make sure, is that right? Is that real? I have dual attention. So I do dual attention with my spirit guides, my team, my higher self, and also the Arcturians, and they're on my team. I'm like asking myself, yes, okay. So sometimes other beings have come through and I've channeled the Arcturians, like when the Lyrans come through, they break through and Sometimes they'll make sound in my room. It's pretty crazy, but anyway, when I come back after this, that's what's going to happen. I'll just go ahead and get right into it. And I'm going to take a break and do the Ki Asha exercise, which helps open the third eye. You touch your forehead and say Ki Asha 3 times. You chant it, and that's Pleiadian, and it helps open your third eye. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. When I come back, I'm going to channel for you guys. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you. All right, guys, I'm already connected to the Arcturians, and we're going to get started. I'm going to take a couple breaths first. All right. I got burning up hot the minute I connected with them and did the Ki Asha. I'm just like pouring energy off me now. Oh, it feels like summertime in here suddenly. Even more energy now. Woo-wee. Am I connected to the Arcturians? Muscle testing says yes. All right. Hello, Arcturians. You guys may begin at any moment. Thank you for being on the show. They say, greetings to one and all. We are grateful to be on the show tonight. We wanted to come and first of all congratulate you on being a part of this grand experiment that is the ascension of humanity. You have made it to the 5th dimension and anchored in. So we are grateful to announce this to you, even though others have already announced this to you. We are not the first. We are very happy to be in your presence in these moments, the beginning stages of this grand and glorious life that really and truly, with the power of your mind, you have created the situation. We see that daily more and more of you are awakening, and that if you are awakened and the people around you are growing uncomfortable, we wish to remind you at this moment that patience is a virtue. It's one of your earthly phrases, we believe. You need to exercise your acceptance and your patience with other people when they are still slumbering. They're still wallowing in their ignorance and they have no idea. People who are coming from that perspective just do not know. And when they wake up, they go, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry I ever said those things or did those things or lived in that way or what have you. So as you move up in vibration and you get more accustomed to being in the higher energy frequencies, we just wish to remind you that those that come after you, they're going to need the nurturing and the love and the attention that you are being given in these early moments for those of you who are beginning to awaken, and those who are aware and have been for quite some time. Remember back in the day when people were there for you. We say back in the day because that's another one of your earthly colloquialisms. And we rather like it. In fact, we find amusing most of your phrases of time. We live in a dimension, in a realm above time, so we don't have that here. And we, in some ways, we don't really envy you, but it's kind of, they're showing me, guys, this energy of just, they kind of wish they could experience that sometimes. But they don't want to lower that vibration to do so. So they're kind of showing me that they're kind of like, aw, that's kind of, it's kind of like a sweet and endearing thing that we have time. Because in their realm, it's just not, now is the only time they have. That's what they're showing me. All right, guys, back to you. What else do you want to speak of today? There was something earlier that you guys told me before I even began the show. Could we get back to that? They're saying, oh, yes, okay. And I can't remember what it was. You have to tell me all over again. Yes, the adjustment phase, the period now in which you're in. Many of you are still having what you were considering before to be Ascension symptoms. And they are very similar, but now you're just in the adjustment phase of the anchoring in process, for lack of a better word. But you are fully in the dimension and the realm, and you're not going to go backwards. Welcome to the fifth dimension, guys. You are here, even if you're not aware of it, even if it just seems like nothing has changed. In time, you're going to have more evidence that things are indeed different, and most of it's going to be your mindset. Any negativity that you would have surrounding certain issues or ideas or even holidays, all of your issues around these things, it's just going to dissipate. You're going to find yourself happier and happier just randomly. In the beginning, though, a lot of you might have secretly had a different idea as to what was going to happen. And we feel that a lot of people have been very tired, almost exhausted, and mentally pushed to the limit and the brink in the past couple weeks, especially those of you who have been working so hard on raising your vibration for the final push into the fifth dimension. A lot of you have gotten physically ill during this time because of the concentration of the energy to fully anchor you in. A lot of you were hoping for a different outcome, or maybe you had the idea that suddenly the brown mountains around you might turn into rainbow colors, or we're not going to say that maybe trees will become made of candy or something like that, because we know that no one was silly enough to believe that the roads would be paved with gold and all the trees and bushes and flowers would be made from candy. I think they're referring to Candyland. I don't know why. They said, or Willy Wonka, either way. They are familiar with our culture. Our earthly culture. But, and of course, they could give me examples since I'm from the United States originally. So sometimes they'll do that. They'll give a cultural example through the channel. So, all right. Many of you were hoping for much different looks and appearances to be in the fifth dimension. Maybe fluffy bunnies hopping everywhere, and your unicorn has arrived and it's replaced your car, and you can fly through the air to your job. Or maybe you won't have a job anymore and you're going to be absolutely somehow magically beyond wealth. And some people are in these moments being a little disappointed. They're kind of hoping it was just going to absolutely be a 100% change and shift. And while the fifth dimension is quite a bit different than the third dimension, it's still close enough, right now at least, because a lot of you haven't let it go. You're going to be very much in the same places that you were 2 weeks ago. You might still have the same job, you might still have the same car, obviously you have the same family and friends, and pretty much life looks the same. But if you look to the skies, you're going to notice that there's a lot of different things going on in the skies that never happened before. Sometimes rainbow colors when there's no rainbow present. Sometimes a cloud that would normally look gray now is blue. The energy that you can sense when you concentrate on sensing it raises the vibrational energy of a room, and it raises the energy of the clouds. You'll get to see what's behind the fluffy white and gray clouds. When you had your 3D eyes and you weren't aware of this, the clouds were just gray and white to you. With a higher perception comes a higher perception of colors that you did not know existed before, especially in the things that you're used to looking at your whole life. Your hair and skin and your appearance is going to be changing. If it hasn't already started, it's going to. For most of you who are older, your hair has already gone back to its normal color in places. Eventually, in time, it's going to all be back. We want you to be realistic in your expectations and in your goals for this dimension. Some of you are putting a lot into, now that we're in the fifth dimension, this is what's going to happen, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A lot of you have a list. Like it's a Christmas list for Santa. Now, you're writing, it's not like you're writing Dear Fifth Dimension, this is what I want now that I'm here. But a lot of you are acting as if this is New Year's. New Year's Eve has come and now you're writing your resolutions. I'm going to get this and that and this and that. And what we wish to gently remind you is that you have left the material world behind and the constant consumerism of products, things. That's an energy that's best left in the third dimension. We wish for you to focus on your spirituality, focus on your connection with divine, focus on your inner truths and your inner selves, whoever you are and want to be and always have wished to be. Allow that person to come out. Take off your cloaks of ignorance. Take off your cloaks of wanting to be invisible in society. Stand up and be counted. Put on the coat of positivity and radiance and humility. Offer guidance when someone needs it. Ask for guidance when you do. This is not a time to perpetually feed the ego as it once was. In the fifth dimension, everything is refined. It's more beautiful and glorious, and things tend to be softer around the edges. We're going to notice what we mean in the coming few months. The atmosphere and energy surrounding the majority of the animals who are aware of what's happening, namely dogs and cats, they're going to seem much more relaxed. They're not going to display fear any longer. They will look at you with absolute love in their eyes, not distrust, not fear, not sadness. They will welcome the exchanges of love that they give us, that they give humanity freely. Many animals that were in attack mode every time they saw a stranger, they might still bark, but nothing's going to happen. There won't be the attacks coming soon. Possibly in the next few weeks. Watch out. But in the next few months, as animals get well adjusted and anchored into the fifth dimension, they're already anchored in, but once they get used to the adjustment period, things are going to be lighter, more peace, more joy, more levels of success in every possible area of your life is coming your way. We wish to inform you that technology is not going away, and in fact, many of the long-awaited technologies will actually be here. You mentioned replicators earlier in the show, and we see that this kind of technology will definitely be in your world soon. There will be new forms of transportation, and we ask that you offer your support, lend your positivity towards any and all changes that will be made to the infrastructures of all the different countries. If you see a kind of car that's going to be on the road that will be better for the environment and safer for the people riding inside, you don't have to buy it if you cannot afford it, but just support it and talk positively about it. Talk positively about all the things that are coming. The reason we say this is we want you to keep a level and modicum of positivity surrounding you at all times, and feel happy and grateful for all of the people who will be benefiting from the technology. Be grateful for the technologies that will be better for the environment and the animals and the spirit of the planet. And support them with your words. Because when you give your radiant and positive energy to other people, such as inventors or people who are telepathing with spirits about how to build something, you're giving them more energy to be free to be themselves. When you give positivity to a company, you're giving a group of people love vibrations and success vibrations. And if you have not learned this by now, all of the thought forms that you send out boomerang back to you. So be grateful when you hear of the cars that will drive themselves on the road so that you will be safe, or that maybe you could sleep on the way to somewhere. Maybe you needed a nap or wanted to pick up on your correspondence. Be grateful for these technologies. Don't ever slide back down into the negativity of envy or jealousy or greed. Pretty soon there will be enough to go around for every possible thing that there is in existence. Money, cars, food, shelter, clothing, whatever you might be thinking about. Scarcity thinking belongs in the third dimension. Feeling ungrateful or entitled does not belong in the fifth dimension, but rather the third. All of the energies that held you back like little tiny strings wrapped around you, holding you back. Every one of those things, greed, jealousy, sadness, all the things that you told yourself, negative things about your body. I don't like that. I don't like that. Calling yourself names, even if no one knew about it. All of those types of things, it's like there's a string that goes around you and is holding you back. And if you have thousands of these things that you tell yourself on a daily basis, and that's been your habit for your whole life. You know, I'm not thin enough, I'm too fat, I'm not smart enough, I'm too dumb, or I'm too lazy, or I'm too this, you know, all those kinds of words. The hurtful words that if you heard it said to someone else, you would race to defend them. But when someone says them to you, you would also be angry, but why would you say it to yourself? But so many humans have this conundrum inside of them. And it's not healthy emotionally. So we ask you at this time to look inside yourself. Take notes of all the negative and positive things that you say about yourself on a daily basis. When you lay down for bed at night, do you say, I love you, body, I love you, cells, I love you, and then fill in your name? Do you say that? Thank you for being my body, I love you. Do you say this before you go to bed? Do you say this every morning when you wake up? If you don't act with gratitude and faithfulness, it could be a very big detriment, not only to you, but to all the people in your immediate vicinity, because everything is much more nebulous in the fifth dimension. Energy flows a lot more easily. When you're having a thought about someone, they're going to know what it is. They're going to know the energy of it. So from now on, we want you to practice the light, especially if you're calling yourself a light worker, but you secretly still bicker with people in your mind, or you imagine scenarios in which you have to defend yourself, just like the lesson said earlier. The time for all of the office politics and the office jibber jabber and gossip, the time for all of these things is over. The time to accept who you are for what you are, as far as you've been able to get in life so far, just accept that. Accept other people for the decisions that they've made in their lives as well. There's no need to any longer be angry at those who have deceased, who have ceased to be corporeal at this moment. If you have any anger, you're harboring resentment that they went before you. This is the time to correct that, because you're going to be affecting everybody. Some of you in up to a 20-block radius from where you sit right now. When you have an angry thought, goes all out. 20 blocks in every direction. For some of you, might only be 5 or 6 blocks, but the point is, do you really want to put those negative emotions out there? So we're asking you to watch your thoughts, correct your thoughts when needed, love yourself, accept yourself, love others and accept them, and be willing to help when people ask you. The spirit of helpfulness opens up an energy of cooperation. And cooperation leads to actual success. The true measure of success is not in material wealth. It's not in the energy of competition, having longer legs or a skinnier body. That's not what success is anymore. Not in the fifth dimension. Success is the ability to carry on in a way in which you are fulfilling your passions and inspiring others and increasing all of those around you, while simultaneously holding love and holding space for everybody around you, whether you know them or not. Treating everybody now as if they are your true friends and your family. Treating everybody with absolute love and respect. Making eye contact. Holding their hand if they need help. If they're sad. Put a gentle hand upon the shoulder of those who need to be braced up a little bit because something has happened. This is a time to cooperate and live in the spirit of joy and true bliss. True bliss and the energy of being blessed as well. Your happiness is not going to come from material items. It's not going to come from other people. It's not going to come from your surroundings or what your apartment or house looks like. True happiness comes from within inside your heart when you have managed to make a close divine connection. When you are able to connect with Prime Creator or God or the universe or what have you, whatever word you choose, or phrase that you choose. When you are confident enough to step into your dream life and let go of any fear or doubts, worry or anger about not being there already, worry you'll never get there, those kinds of thoughts. You need to step away from those because they don't belong here anymore. Instead, you have to step forward, maybe even on the actual ground with which you stand, whether it's inside a house or not. Imagine, if you're having struggles with this, we want to give you this idea. Imagine that you are in your old life doing things the way you've always done them. And now imagine you stepping into exactly where you want to be. Go ahead and step forward. Physically step forward. And imagine when your second foot lands in the place where you stepped forward to. Keep your eyes closed for a moment. Imagine you are there. And you'll get there. With Prime Creator, with God, with the universe, all things are absolutely positive. We wish for you to be living in the spirit of cooperation, joy. And you're going to see communities are already starting to build up. We have witnessed this in places where there are tiny homes or tiny house communities. Also, traveling caravan communities are starting to come up now. We also see that people are buying large pieces of land and selling bits and pieces of it to like-minded folks to create a community. In spite of what you might hear on the news about all the bad things happening, and we wish to stress, don't focus on that any longer. You never really hear of thousands of people created a new town today, and they're very, very happy to live among everybody else. People are consciously choosing who they want to live near, why and how, in what capacity. Pretty soon will be gone the days of the past where you move into a neighborhood and you don't know any of the people before you move. Long ago, there were times where people would move in to a neighborhood and suddenly not get along with anybody. They might even get bullied and they have to leave the neighborhood because you can't pick your neighbors. Until now. We see that there are going to be a lot of energy, positive vibe energy. We see that there will be like almost a vortex of energy hovering above the most synergistic communities that all work towards common goals. Getting all of the families fed in the highest possible level of nutrition, including organic food and what kind of food, like maybe more vegetables, and the meat will be clean. There will be no more hormones. Eventually, all of that will happen. Eventually, everything will be going back to normal. What you call frankenfoods eventually are going to phase out. We see that you'll live in communities where everybody will have their own role and their part to play. No one will feel left out. Shut-ins won't be allowed to stay shut in. People that are shy will be given their space, but there's still going to be interaction. There's still going to be love, and they're going to feel so welcomed. Everyone is going to feel this spirit of love. The energy of oneness permeates the very fabric of the fifth dimension. The love flows freely. This is the world, the level of oneness. We see that these small, intentioned communities, where everyone holds an intention of cooperation, we see that these are going to become shining lights, energetically speaking, in the future. We know that you have all been striving very hard to get where you are. We also know that many of you are thinking that you did not maybe work hard enough. Maybe you didn't meditate enough, or maybe you were so wrapped up in your work that you didn't really take part in this. But we want to assure you that you did. And we want you to alleviate yourselves from any guilt, because spiritual guilt doesn't really have a place in your life. It never did. And even now, it really doesn't. Most of you played your parts while sleeping, leaving your body and doing very hard work. And a lot of you don't remember your dreams upon awakening, so you think you did nothing. But how many times in the past 3 years have you awoken in the middle of the night and you feel like you didn't sleep at all? Or in the morning you wake and you wake up and you feel like you haven't slept at all. And it might have been 3, 4, 5 hours or 8 or 10 hours, and you feel like, wow, what happened there? How was I asleep for all of these hours and yet I'm so tired still? That's because while your mind was making up dreams, in some cases, your body was going through the ascension process. Your spirit was preparing the way. You all did the work. Most of you are not aware of the work you did. You don't give yourself credit enough, because everyone had a role to play. You all played your parts, and now you're here as a collective whole. You all had your parts to play, and you did it very, very well. Everyone has a piece to the puzzle. And in the end, you're going to make a very nice picture. There will be a time in which we see people just rejoicing and dancing in the streets, not because an event happened, but because life is grand. We already see that many of you have started to change your lifestyle. Some of you who have been promiscuous in the past are now celibate. Some of you who ate a lot of food and were very greedy with your food and eating everything in sight are now on diets in which you're getting very, very healthy. Some of you moved to other states and other cities, or across town to another apartment or another house. We see that these huge lifestyle changes that have taken place and starting to take place, it's all a part of you becoming the new you and entering into the energy of your soul. In the third dimension, you were in the energy of your body. Everyone was thinking about their bodies, whether they want to eat too much food and make a pig of themselves and eat gallons of ice cream because it tastes so good. And we see that that's what it was. Most people's actions were very me-oriented, very selfish in some ways. Not everybody, of course, but we have seen some people fall into that trap, or the sexual trap. Trying to get as many people as possible. Some people, and you all know who you are, if this is you or you know people like this, have kept books with names and rating systems, and it's so gross and it's so low with such a base energy. A lot of people saw sexuality as a sport, or like hunting. Go out and poach as many as you can. Go out and catch as many as you can. As fast as you can. Regardless of feelings. But all of those kinds of energies have fallen to the wayside, and they're going. They're going to be phased out completely, because that is not this dimension. Now there's going to be an energy and spirit of cooperation, respect, love, bliss. People anticipating the needs of other people, even if it's their neighbor from down the block. It's getting cold out. We'll bring Martha, who lives down the middle of the block, a blanket. These kinds of things are going to start happening, and you're going to witness this. It's going to be a while yet, but when this starts to happen, you're going to recognize it. Maybe, perhaps, you'll remember this evening when we said it here, that's going to be what happens. People will start rearranging themselves and settling into neighborhoods and cities and countries that most align with their life purpose. And all the people will come that most are in alignment with the other people that have come to that area. You're going to see big changes, but they're going to be so gradual that you're not going to notice them until you notice them. And when you do, it's going to blow your mind. Everything is still free will and free choice, but you're still you're going to have to make the choices. You're still going to have to make the choices. But you're still going to go up, up, up in vibration from here. Never again are you going to be in the third dimension. And the faster you understand and accept that, the faster you're going to spiritually grow and be able to move on. And we wish this for you, because what's coming is absolutely incredible. We want you to have the energy always in front of you. Imagine maybe that there's a sphere of light, and it could be a small or a large sphere of light. Anytime you start to slip into the old ways, we want you to step into the sphere of light. We prefer to think of it as a silver ball. You step in and it magically erases any negativity from your mind, from your heart. Negative words will not escape your lips when you enter into the magical silver ball of light. This is a good visualization to have. Think of it as a cleansing of your aura and your chakras in your body and your mind. This is a good visualization to have when you are about to leave your house to go into any circumstances whatsoever. On the way to a date or a work or whatever. All of your old habits that were of detriment to you and others around you, everything's falling to the wayside now. All of the old parts of yourself, especially things you didn't like. And even if you are still with the things that you don't like say you don't like your body, for example, or your hair, we're looking at your future a little bit, and what we see is that eventually you're going to relax on all these things and you're going to love yourself no matter what. You're going to feel comfortable in your own skin no matter what. We see a lot of leisure time being freed up due to coming technologies. A lot of people will spend the days playing, reading, catching up on sleep, playing games, positive-minded games. People are going to look to educate themselves in a wide variety of ways. And we don't mean negative games, like messing with someone's head type of games. What they're showing me, guys, is like literally games. Like people gather in their front yard or on their street to play games with each other, to live in the moment and live as one. When this starts happening all around the world and everyone becomes aware of this energy and this spirit, it's going to blow your mind. We're going to ask one last thing before we go, that you always put the divine first. Whether you're a Buddhist and you believe that the divine is within you and not without you, or you're any other religions, we want you to put yourself in the way of the highest vibration of those religions, the mystical orders of those religions. We want you to focus on the highest vibrational aspects, the connection with Creator, and you can do this outside of religion as well. Eventually, the religion idea will be phased out as you all grow in your connection and deepen your ability to have conversations with God. The religions won't be necessary anymore. Mostly all humans, if not every single human, are basically good at their core. How could they not be when they're created by the one prime creator? Some people always take longer than others, so don't judge them, love them along the way. We see a bright future for humanity. We see what you call the UFOs, the spacecraft, will come. And you're going to have a much grander community beyond your own planet. We see an innocence returning, a joy and purity returning that hasn't really been felt in a long time, not in the atmosphere, not in greater majority of places, but we're going to see that happening soon. The intentional communities, the people who travel together, and you're going to also see Even people that don't travel or that don't live together will start to travel together. And already we've been seeing this in recent years, but it's going to become more and more. Soul tribes will find each other, and then they'll travel the globe together. They might travel to 1 or 2 countries or 20 countries together, depending on their purpose. So it won't be 1 or 2 people or 3 or 4 people traveling anymore together. You're going to see groups of 10 or 13 or 20 traveling together. And the energetic exchange between these people as they learn about their world, it's going to become exponential. If you could see what we see, you would watch this energy just it would be like exploding all over the planet like fireworks. The beauty and the high vibration of this spirit of cooperation. If you could see what we could see for your future of humanity, your mind would be blown away. So whatever you do to meet divine right now, whether it's religion, philosophy, meditation, even if it's just biofeedback, we want you to keep reaching for the next highest energy up. We want you to meditate and pray as often as possible. This world is being created by your minds. So you're going to have to decide how are you going to do it? How are you going to create this world? What is your intention going to be? Where will your energy be focused, and how are you going to incorporate divine in every aspect of your life? We are always going to be here to assist humanity. We will come back with many other messages through many different channels. We do this because we wish for you to hear the messages that are meant for you. We find that if we scatter them throughout your globe, then the right message will get to the right people. We love to connect with humanity. We love all of you so much. We're going to go right now, but we wanted to say that we bow to you. We honor you in these moments for what you have been able to already achieve in such a small amount of time relatively. Oh, I just feel that they're withdrawing their energy from me right now. Is they're gonna go? You guys gonna go? Okay. They say, thank you for communing with us in these moments and feeling the energy in the spaces. Even if you don't know what that means, you will in time. Great energy is going to be felt in ways never before. We look forward to working with you for a very long time. But we are going to go now. We are bowing to you. In your earth term, we're saying namaste. And we thank you for listening. We are the Arcturian Council, and it has been a joy and pleasure to work with you. All right, wow. That was heady. I feel like I was falling asleep again. Boy, just such a deep trance. Hopefully you guys got good energy and good information from that. I feel a massive amount of energy. I like it, but wow. It's very strong. When I first connected with them, I got so hot I had to take off my sweater. I felt like I was burning up. It felt like summertime. It's 49 degrees out, and it's 56 degrees out now. It's a little bit warmer than it has been. But it's like I started burning up. I'm like, oh my God. There's such a high vibration, and it's like, woo. Sometimes it's hard to maintain that contact in the beginning because it's such a high vibe, but I was able to do it. I'm going to have to go back and listen to this because I'm not going to remember it tomorrow. Because it was their words, not mine. Although they did pluck a lot of stuff out of my mind today. Sayings, colloquialisms, and whatnot. So, all right, if this information rings true for you, then you can accept it. If there's anything that was said that you weren't so clear on or not so sure of, you don't have to accept it. Just accept it. There might be some things you don't need to accept. As long as you are approaching these channelings with an energy of acceptance, that's all you need to. All right, guys, I am exhausted. I'm publishing this very late again. But what are you going to do? I had a lot of people to counsel tonight. People that are in my life, family mostly. Anyway, I love each and every one of you. Again, thank you for being on the Ascension journey with me. I'll be back tomorrow night with all unique and original programming, just like always. God willing, and the creeks don't rise anyway. Or ojalá, inshallah. Anyway, with the God in me, I bow to the God in you. And I bless you, and I bless you, and I bless you. Signing off with peace. But before I do that, ghost stories, guys, ghost stories. Please send in your ghost stories to metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com. Because on Halloween, we want to tell ghost stories. Stories of the supernatural and paranormal. And it doesn't have to be centered, your stories doesn't have to be centered on Halloween. Any time of the year in which you've encountered a ghost. It doesn't have to be this year, it could be any time in your whole life. We just want to hear random ghost stories to make it kind of a fun and spooky-ish night. Remember the days of sitting around the campfire, roasting marshmallows and drinking hot cocoa? That's the kind of energy I want to put out there on Halloween. All right. And also we might give a little tidbit on how to help spirits go to heaven. All right, guys, that's all I gotta say about that for now. I love you, love you, love you so much. Thank you for listening and forwarding this to all of your groups on Facebook and etc. and getting the word out. And that's it. Signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, guys. Peace. Do you ever wish you could look into the next chapter in your book of life and see what's coming next? What does the universe have in store for you? I can help you with that. I will give you a Celtic cross reading, which is 10 cards, or you can ask me 3 questions, and I use 3 cards per question. So that's 9 cards, or I can channel your higher guidance, or maybe God directly for you. Maybe you want to talk to your dear departed Aunt Edna, because maybe you have a few questions and she was the smartest person you knew. If your deceased relatives are available or your ascended masters, I can channel them for you personally. Let me have 1 hour to show you the future in your next chapter of your book of life. Readings are $75, and it takes me an hour to an hour and a half to complete. And for this price, you will also be hooked up to the healing grid around the planet for free, which means yours truly, me, I will be giving you Reiki 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life. All you have to do is let me know. metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com, and we will explore your future together.